Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications because I'm sharing great contents for you all the times. Alright, previously we completed delete, draft, invoiced, and now we will continue to view invoice and edit invoice section. But before starting our content, do not forget to open and run our API. So it is running right now. I would like to make a quick update. I'm in our API tutorial project. While I was testing, I just noticed we did a small mistake. So I just open my services, invoice services and invoice service class. So in line 63, I add this include invoice items method, because we're going to work on updating invoice. So do not forget and update your API project, or you're going to get error messages while you're working on update methods on MVC consumer project, guys. Here we go. This is API is running. Now I'm going to run my application, MVC application, and let's see the latest situation of application. Before make a quick start. Alright, let's go our clients. Perfect, create invoice has been completed. So we're going to add view, delete, and I'm going to implement edit button in the view section. So let's continue with clicking view button. Let's close it. Actually, I don't know how to start the coding right now. Just let's try to type our HTTP GET request step by step, and it will come out somehow. HTTP GET public AJAX result. Let's give a name view edit. I'm going to use view same method for view and edit. Okay, view edit invoice for company. Yep. What kind of parameter I need, I'm not quite sure. We're going to figure that out. Let's continue with the empty one. First of all, definitely we need to receive our invoice. So I'm going to get my get invoice method, invoice service. So we need to use get by ID. So this is get invoice by ID async. So basically it is asking us an ID of an invoice. So I'm going to give an integer ID here. So I'm going to give this ID here. So we have an invoice in our hand. Let's see the model. Model is invoice update for remove items. It is really funny. I don't know why I give this name for update method. Why I add remove items detail, I'm not quite sure, but let's use the same return model just for now. Once we've completed our application, we can refactor all the details. Perfect. So we are returning invoice update for remove items detail. Perfect. Let's keep it, and return value is going to be the result. Okay, so we need to wrap our action method with action result with the task. Okay, another thing, if we would like to use those methods for view and edit, so we need a parameter. So once we click the button, which can be view or edit, we're going to send a parameter to help my action method to decide which return is going to be run. Okay, so we're going to send string, let's say action is going to be okay. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to delete this return. So if action equal view. We're going to return something here, redirect action, or what should I do? Let me think for a second. So it is going to be, actually we're going to return, no, I'm going to, so it is going to be just one return view model. So we're going to return invoice update for remove items DTO. Okay, I'm gonna send just a view back to define what it is just for now. So we're going to return view result directly, but I'm gonna send a view back dot action is going to be action. So we're going to define the design of the view page according to this action. Perfect. Let's create this view now. Let's edit. I'm just waiting my page to be created by C#. Alright, now I'm basically going to copy what I have from create invoice section. Invoice create detail. Let's copy all of them and just paste them down here. And let's clean section about create invoice. Perfect. And I'm going to add my new model, invoice update for remove items DTO. Perfect. First of all, if we're going to use that form, it must be an edit. So if we would like to make a demonstration of our existing invoice, so it must be a view basically. So I'm gonna add an if block here. If view back dot action is equal to edit, then I want my application to show me this form. Otherwise, I don't want to see it. I don't want to show it. Alright, then we're going to show our table to our customers. It doesn't matter view or edit. Perfect. So these buttons for create and delete buttons just for update section. It must be just for, let me see, we can delete but it is for draft, right? Yeah, it is for just draft. So I am going to, okay, so we need another parameter if it's draft or not to see this delete, but create must be for the draft as well. Let me think for a second. Actually, it's going to be update in this section, and the delete is going to be, we can use it for delete the invoice, but I'm not going to show delete invoice from here. We already have another delete button in our invoice list, I guess. Let's delete it for now. We only have an option to update it, and if it's only for update view, if VBack dot action edit, if it's edit, then we're able to see this update button here. Perfect. Alright, scripts. So for now I'm gonna delete all the scripts, all the AJAX requests. I'm not quite sure do we need or not. Just delete for, if we need those again we can copy from our create invoice section, but for now I'm just building our view section. Okay, the view is created. The invoice controller, let me see, has been created. It seems perfect, and only thing left for our view section, we need to define our button in our get all invoice for company. So here we go, we have a view invoice section. Let's copy the name of our method. Let's put this here, and the controller is invoice root. Okay, what kind of information it is asking for us? So an ID and action. The ID is item.id, perfect, and we need to add action. Action is going to be view in this situation as we are clicking view button. Action is going to be view. Let's save it and let's run the application and see the results. What's going to happen now? Alright, let's go our clients. Let's select any invoice. If I click to view, as you can see, we can be able to see our invoice. So we can basically design it. We can put customer information here. We able to put the total amount. We can demonstrate this information is an actual invoice as well. I'm not gonna build it. I'm just showing you the connection and backend side. I'm just leaving you the front end and make it sexy visualization to you guys. Okay, we have a remove items here, so we need to hide this one as well. Let's have a look. Where is the remove items? We have at, okay, we need to, it's been hidden as well. Let's have a look. Okay, the action button, we don't need the action button, so we need to put is in our view back. Oops. Put action. Edit. Yep. And let's add this one to this button as well. Control KD, let's save it and let's see one more time. And view section is going to be finished. We can move on to edit section. As you can see, this is the product name, quantity, price, and the figures, the numbers. Alright, let's stop the application. Now we need to edit it. Alright, then I'm going to put an edit button somewhere in this view section. Let me think, how can we edit it? I'm gonna put a button. Let me have a look. I'm just gonna put this button just here. So else means if it's not edit, it means in this section it's going to be a view. I'm gonna add another button here. Okay. Edit button. This update button will update the data in our API, but the edit button, it's going to open edit page. I mean, it's going to make our page editable, basically. Okay, send invoice to API. No, that one. Let's copy everything what we created here. Is that the one? I need to view. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, perfect. So we have invoice. We've added invoice for company. So we need to catch the item. Okay. And ASP root action is going to be now edit. Perfect. So how can we, what was the ID of this edit? Let me have a look. I think this is the client. Yeah, this is the client ID. So all we need to do is, not you. Okay, this page. Oops. Model.client ID. Perfect. Now let's run the application. When we click the edit button, we will see the edit page now. This is view, so we able to see the invoice. When we click it, oops, we got a problem. YouTube episode basically invoice not exist. Alright, we sent wrong invoice number by assuming now. Perfect. Let's get back. Let's add a breakpoint to invoice controller here. Perfect. Let's have a look, guys. Let's send another. First of all, it sends number 7. It's sending client ID. Okay, we need to invoice ID, not the client ID. This is my fault. We don't need a breakpoint. Let's go back. So what is the invoice ID? So we have an invoice. Okay, we need just model.id. .id. It is going to be alright now. Let's run the application. Let's click invoice list. Let's view it and let's. Okay, it's going to be edit instead of view. I'm going to fix it anyway. Anything else? Nothing happening. Alright, it's weird. Let's come back again. We will do a couple of back and forth, I guess. Let's click this view. Okay, the ID is again 21. No, it is the invoice ID. The action is evaluated for company. Alright, this is weird. ASP root ID, ASP root action. This is weird. The action can be causing some kind of conflict. If I put with @, I think it will be more accurate. Let's change everything with the @. Alright. Let's run the application now. If it's work, I'm going to explain why I did this. No, what is this? Why we're receiving this? Okay, let's stop it. Am I looking somewhere wrong? Okay, controller is invoice, actions we added invoice for company, root ID is root action. Okay, it's need to be @action. Let's view. Perfect. It's really weird. Not gonna work again. Okay, let's stop the application. It is really weird, guys. Okay, I'm gonna delete this again. ASP root. I'm gonna give it some different name. Let's say update. Update is not perfect word for this action. But why are we receiving problem in the action? Let's give a random name, GGG. It's really weird, by the way. Okay. This is string, this is string. ASP action, ASP root, GGG. Okay, let's run again. This is quite odd, guys. Okay, let's view again. This is not. This is null. Yeah, this is null because This is null because get all invoices ASP root. Where's my view? Okay, let's make it GGG as well. There is something wrong with the action variable name, I'm assuming. Okay, GGG is view, perfect. And when I click this one, GGG is edit, yeah. So when we continue, so what is the problem here? Invoice update for DTO. Edit product in VBAC product. Yeah, we don't have a product list here. Okay, we need the product list as well here. Okay, let's go back. Before explaining you GGG, why I did GGG, I'm going to bring the product list first, which is needed for our create and okay. So if GGG is edit, then I want my VBAC product list here. Perfect. If it's not, I don't need it. Anyway, let's run the app one more time. Before that, let's fix this one as well. The name of the button is going to be not view, edit. Perfect. I assuming it is going to work 99%. Nobody can be 100%, guys. Okay, so let's click the view. So we have the invoice here. Let's click edit. As you can see, this is edit invoice section now. Perfect. Everything seems working right now. So what is the problem? The problem is in action keyword. So if you remember, in our root lessons, we have a predefined variable which is called action. Just a second. Okay, let's say, okay, like this. Perfect. So this action, what is this action can have a conflict with the action variable we just created here. So I'm just avoiding to use it. I'll just use the GGG, a random name, so we can define it a normal one. Okay, let's delete it. So let's say instead of GGG, invoice status. Yeah, just say invoice status. Okay, control, perfect. VBAC action is invoice status. Perfect. We just change these variable names, invoice status and invoice status. Perfect. All done. We're able to reach our edit section now. All we need to is send the data, the edited data. All we need to do is edit the data right now. Now I'm going to bring our old scripts used for our create method, and I'm going to convert them to update for update. Let's copy everything. We edit. Perfect. Let's start with add product button. So we need to add product button and we need to remove product button as well. Again, let me see. When we click the add product button, it is going to go exactly. I'm just thinking, is it going to work directly or should I change anything else? Let's run the application and see if they are working or not. Probably they are going to work. Okay, let's go. Alright, invoice list, view, let's edit it. Okay, we brought our information. The main thing is, when I add a product here, it is going to send the data. If it's not in cache, okay, let's have a look our update, just add method, not the service, so we are in API. When we send the parameter add product list, it is going to create invoice item for new item, and it is going to create, but this is invoice create draft. Okay, we are using update one, so we can change it as well, or we can make it dynamic. So it is going to have a look to the cache. If it's not in the cache, it is going to fresh new one. Okay, this is not for us. We need to create a new method, because we need to an existing one, not creating new. If it's not okay, so we need to create a new one. Alright, let's create the new first, and I'm going to copy and paste this one. Update product to list, no, add product to list for update. So we need a product ID, we need quantity, client ID, PO number. I guess we might need an invoice ID as well, but let's have a look. So product is going to be checked, product is going to be created, and it is going to be invoice update draft, and we're going to have a look to cache K. If we have one, we're going to bring it. If we don't have one, we're going to bring it back from our API. Okay, so it is going to be await invoice service, get invoice by ID. So we need an invoice ID here. Okay, let's add it to end int invoice ID. Perfect. So cached invoice is null. We receive the, let's use curly brackets, var result. Perfect. So what is the problem? Do we have another result here? Okay, we had a result. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna, this is the result, cached invoice, right? Okay, cached invoice is going to be that one. Invoice create DT. Okay, let's change it to invoice update for remove DTO, and it's invoice item created. This is correct. Cache invoice, this is the cached invoice. We're going to use this instead of cache invoice. Then cache invoice, invoice items add, it is invoice item update DTO. Let's make it update DTO. Yep, it is fixed. Cached invoice PO number is PO number, and memory cache set. Cached invoice, perfect. JSON return true. So what is the problem here? So we need to wrap it with a task, which is, that's because we used a asynchronous method here. Perfect. It must be now working. Let's go back our AJAX. Okay. Everything is the same. We're just going to change the URLs. So method name is going to be add product list. For update, product ID, quantity, client ID, all of them is same. We're just going to add another one, and the name is invoice ID. Invoice ID must be, let's have a look, where are we? We need to cache the invoice ID as well, right? Actually, we have invoice ID here in model itself. Just type here add model in, where is the ID? Yep, here we go. We're going to send the ID. Then once we receive it, okay, we will see the we've added invoice for company. We're going to send our second request, and it takes invoice ID and invoice status. Yeah, is that correct? But what about the client? Actually, this is just one invoice connected to one client, so it's okay. So we're going to send invoice ID and invoice status. For company, the ID is going to be ID of invoice, and the second parameter is going to be the value. What was the invoice status must be equal. This is edit, right? We are editing, so I'm gonna send just edit with my request. Okay, so it must work now. Let's try to add a product in our invoice. Client get all clients, invoice list, view the invoice. Let's try to edit it. So we have an editable invoice, so let's try to add a cement, let's say 50, and I'm gonna change the PO name for like this. Okay, let's try to add product. Alright, it didn't work. Let's refresh the page. Let's go back, reload it, edit it. Okay, let's put a breakpoint. It's not working. It seems not working. Let's put a breakpoint, guys. Add product list for update. Perfect. Let's see, are we able to send all parameters correctly? When I sent any parameter, add product. Okay, it's not working when I click add product. Okay, no, it's working. Here we go. Perfect. Product ID is 3. Alright, we sent product ID. Quantity is 655. Client ID is 7. Correct. PO number is correct. Invoice ID is 21. Everything is perfect. Let's continue. Okay, we created invoice item. Okay, this is the cache key. It's created. Do we have? No. Are we? Let's have a look. Our cached invoice. Count 2. 29 brick. 50 quantity. Okay, it's added to, but we couldn't get the. Okay, we couldn't get from our memory cache. Let's have a look. Okay, we need to amend this, get the data from our memory cache. Okay, let's stop the application now. When we send the request here, we are taking the data directly from our cache memory, but if it's edit, we need to take it from, basically from our database, sorry, cache memory. Okay, So what I'm gonna do is, if it's going to be edit, okay, so if invoice status it's edit, memory cache, actually I'm gonna say var cached invoice memory cache, try to get value. Actually I'm gonna copy and paste from here. Let's copy all of them. I don't need this anymore. Okay, so if the invoice status is edit, do this action. So do we need a client ID here as well? Invoice update draft, I'm going to use the ID. We don't need the client ID exactly. It's alright. You edit invoice for company. Perfect. So, and I'm gonna put this section here as well. We don't need this for an extra. If it's not edit, if it's view, guys, if it's view, I want the data just come from database. Okay, let's say return is going to be cached invoice. So why we couldn't find invoice ID? Invoice ID is ID here. Perfect. So if it's not, basically we're going to use that information. Let me have a quick look here. Is there any chance not to use again? No. So I'm gonna say var view data. So I'm gonna send return view data, and the view back action is going to be invoice status exactly, and we need to send this invoice status here as exactly. Okay, we actually basically I did just one method has two methods, something like that. We can create another method actually for edit. I'm not sure which one is better. Let's cut it and let's go Control Z. Yeah, actually this is the get method, right? I'm not quite sure which one is better. Okay, let's put them all in one together just for now. We can refactor it later if it's needed. Perfect. So we're going to get the cache data. This is the, yeah. Let's run the application and see what's gonna happen. Let's remove this breakpoint. Invoice list, view, edit. Let's add product. This is weird again. Let's put a breakpoint here and run the application again. Let's see what is the problem here. Client, view. Alright, this is view, so it's going to run here. Perfect. We receive the data. Edit. If it's edit, we receive the all product list. We receive the invoice status. This is the cache key. We are looking at memory cache if we have data. If it's not, we're going to go to database to get information. This is the info, and we return it. Perfect. Continue. Okay, it's working. Let's put another breakpoint at product list for update purpose. Okay, I'm going to add a cement, change it to 0, something like that. Add product, receive the product ID, the quantity, client ID, PO number, and the invoice ID. Everything seems perfect. This has been created. Alright, this is the problem. It couldn't find the. Do we have anything? In this circumstances we don't have. Okay, it's okay. We don't have anything else. We get the data from our memory cache. So we add it. So invoice items is become 2. Cache key. Okay, this is the problem. Is that the problem? No. The cache key is invoice update draft client ID. Okay, this is client ID and this is invoice ID. That's the problem, guys. I found out. Let's give an invoice ID instead of client ID here. Okay, perfect. Now, assuming it's going to work, let's remove the debug. Let's edit it. Let's click edit. Item is cement, quantity is 88. This is going to be 00, something like that. Add product, here we go. It is updated. So, only thing I need to check, what if I go back and come back? What's gonna happen? Okay, let's go clients. If I go invoice list, if I create invoice, there is nothing here. If I go view and edit, it is here because it is locked to invoice ID. If we have another invoice, okay, let's create another invoice, by the way. Let's go back. Let's create another invoice. Let's say new invoice. Okay. Add product. Let's create the invoice. Okay, we have another invoice. Let's click view. Let's click edit. We have cement here. Okay. This is the one item we already added. But if we go back, if we go the existing one, let's click view. This is only one item which is come from our database. But when I click edit, so this is coming from the cache memory. Perfect. It is working. Now I'm going to put a cancel button here. If I would like to cancel the update, it's going to remove it from memory cache. That's all we need to add a cancel. So I'm going to put the delete button which we have in our create new invoice section. I'm going to put some button to the update section. It seems everything is working for edit invoice. Now only thing we need to do is adding delete button. Perfect. Let's copy from here. Okay, delete draft invoice. So if it's edit, I need this button here. Delete draft invoice, invoice create draft. Okay, so it is going to be invoice update draft and model.id, which is going to be invoice ID, and we send client ID. Okay, let's have a look our delete method. Invoice, okay, get all invoices. Invoices count 0. We're going to return the direct. Okay, it seems it's okay. Let's run the application and let's see if it's working. Perfect. Let's go. Clients invoice list. Okay, we have here one invoice. Let's try to add one cement, whatever it is. Let's change it. Add product. When I click delete it, we return back, and let's view it. Then let's edit it. Nothing here. It's deleted. Perfect. It's working smoothly. We don't have any problem with delete button in our edit section. In the meantime, I would like to change the name here. If viewback action is edit, I want my title edit invoice. If it's not, I want it to be view invoice. Perfect. Now I'm going to, let me see just a second. So only thing we need to, okay, let's try to remove button, remove product. We forget that one. Let's have a look our remove button. Let's have a look this remove button. Alright, let's run the application now. Actually, before starting application, so it's my fault. We didn't fix the return URL. So return URL must be if after remove a product, we're going to return this section. Actually, I'm gonna copy all of them. Control C. I'm gonna send all the parameters. Yeah, this is the remove product from list. We need to send the index. We need to send the client ID. That's must be worked. So let's run the application and let's see what's gonna happen. And just in case, I'm gonna put a breakpoint to remove product from list. Okay, this is the problem. We are using create K again. Let's stop the application. I'm going to create another action method for remove product from list for update. Alright, so we need a invoice update draft, which is for invoice ID. Actually, in that circumstances, should I need to use, yeah, I need to use invoice ID as well. So I'm gonna bring the invoice ID here. Actually, I don't need to use index here because we have an ID. So instead of index, we use index in create section because we didn't have any ID, so we use the index. Now I'm going to use invoice ID here. So let's put this invoice ID. Perfect. So we will receive the data, so which is going to be update, and we receive the data from our memory cache. If it's null, we definitely have a problem with that. So we're going to remove the, alright, let me have a look. We need to find the invoice first. Var invoice, no, sorry, not the invoice. We need to find the item. So we send index, and we need to send the item ID, integer, product, no, product, let's say item.id. Okay, we're going to find the item cached invoice dot invoice items dot first or default ID must be the item ID. So we found the item and we can remove the item. Okay, it says it can be null, but it's not important. It won't. If it's null, we're going to throw an exception. Or should we use the index as well instead of I? Okay, let's use the index as well. As again, I'm not gonna use this. Let's remove everything back. I'm just gonna add invoice ID. That's all. Let's add integer invoice ID just for the cache name. Perfect. So we're going to get our data from cache. We're going to remove the data from our cache. We change the PO, we set it, and we return it. Let's update our AJAX request. Where is my AJAX request? This is the update AJAX request. Alright. So we're going to return. No, we're going to use this endpoint. Remove product from list for update. We set index. We're going to send client ID. We're going to send PO number, and we're going to send invoice ID, which is going to be model.id. Alright. So we're going to send it. Okay, it seems it is going to work. Just in case, I'm going to put a breakpoint here and here. Should I send any extra parameter? Let me have a look. Okay, we need to send. Yeah, alright, it is already set. It is going to be added. Let's run the application and see if it's working or not. Invoice list. Let's select this one. It is going to be view. Let's click edit. Now the status is edit. Let's run. Here we go. Now I'm going to add a new item. Let's add products. Let's continue. It is working. Now I would like to delete the break. Let's remove item. Index is 0. Client ID is 7. PO number is an invoice ID. Let's continue. The ID invoice ID. The invoice status is edit. It must work now. Let's continue. It's gone. Perfect. It seems it is working. Let's delete it and delete this draft. So it just reverted, I'm assuming. I'm just going to remove the breakpoints. Here we go. What if I just delete it? Okay, we have an exception here now. Let's see what's the problem here. Index 0, client ID 7, PO number, invoice ID 21. Cache key, this one is cache key. Why we couldn't do anything else? Okay. This is the problem. If we directly try to remove it, if we don't have any cache memory, we got a problem here. So if it's not in the memory cache, we need to get it back from memory. Then we need to do the application, I guess. Okay, let's have a look at the previous remove action method for the create. What is the remove one? Okay, So we have, okay, I'm gonna try this one as well. I guess I might find a bug, but this is a create, right? In the create section, if we have an initial create, we don't have anything. So if you can't put your delete button here, so it won't be a problem. But in this section update, we need to bring it back. Okay, if cache invoice is null, we need to bring it back from our database, basically. Okay, what is the problem here? We need to wrap it with async. Now let's run the application. Let's go to invoice list. Let's see that one. Let's edit it. If I remove the item, it's gone. Perfect. If I would like to add another one, let's add product. If I delete it, everything is reverted back. Perfect. Now it's working smoothly. So the remove item, it's working as well. All we need to do, send the old data to our endpoint, to the API. Okay, let's minimize everything. Let's have a look at our send invoice to API. It's using create invoice. Okay, now I'm going to copy the whole thing and send invoice to API for update. Okay, we have a cache key. We're going to cache key from the memory, but we need to amend the return item type. So if we have nothing, so we're going to throw an exception. We are assigning date time now. Actually, date time now is going to be what it is. So we shouldn't change this date time now. Just updating it. So I'm just going to delete it. Result request, we're going to send update invoice async. Let's have a look why we receive a problem error messages here. So it is required invoice update for remove item DTO. Okay, what is the problem then? We can send the cached invoice. Let's have a look. What is the problem here? Okay, we don't have any return type. That's why we're receiving error messages. We're returning to old invoices page, invoice controller. We send the client ID. Perfect. Okay, let's make a test now. First of all, let's go to test company 3. We have one invoice here, or let's use test company 2, test company invoice list. So we have here a invoice. Let's view it. Let's edit it. Now I'm going to add in some data, glue. Let's add one more brick, and I'm going to change PO new customer 556, or just new 556, whatever. Let's add product. Okay, invoice has been created. Let's click. What did I'm not quite sure. Did I finalize this one? It's send invoice application invoice create draft. Okay, it sends invoice create draft. This is my fault. Let's close it. Let's go view edit Okay, so send invoice API invoice update draft. We need to change the key, or we're going to send wrong data from our cache memory, and we're going to send model.id. Now it is going to work. Alright, let's go test company again. Let's view, edit. I'm gonna add another break. I'm gonna add a cement, and I'm gonna add glue. Let's change it. Perfect. Let's click the updates. We got problem. Invoice controller 102, 102, the line. Okay, let's have a look. 102. Okay, it couldn't find the cache memory, the item in our cache memory. Let's put a breakpoint here, and let's have a look. Is there any changes? First of all, let's go back. This company key, let's reload it. Let's view. This is brick. Just okay. We didn't close our application, so we still have the data in our application. Let's click update one more time. The cache key is invoice update draft 20. Okay, let's have a look. It couldn't find. Okay, that's because send invoice IT return item is invoice create DTO. Okay, let's stop the application. We need to change action method to update one. This is my fault. We forgot to change it, I guess. Let's go back. Send invoice API for update. Let's run the application one more time. Hopefully it is going to work right now. It is better than having those errors, because it's going to guide you guys what you're gonna do when you receive an error while you're designing your own project. Let's view, let's edit. I'm just gonna add one product, and I'm gonna change it like this. Add product. Let's update it. We returned here, and the total has been changed. Let's view the application, and as you can see, this is the view invoice. Let's edit it again. Now I'm going to remove brick, and let's update it. So all numbers has been changed. Let's make a 5814969. It seems correct. I'm going to just add another item. Let's make it brick. It's a huge amount of brick. Alright, let's update it. The amount has been changed. Let's view, edit. Let's remove the brick again. Let's update it, and the amount has been changed again. Perfect. It seems it's working correctly. Alright, so we add everything. Let me run the application. Let's see if there is any undesigned button or something. So we have an invoice list, edit, delete, everything is working. Let's delete the invoice. Yeah, it is working. Let's edit it. We can edit it. Invoice list. Okay, we didn't add invoice delete, I think. Okay, the last mission is delete invoice. The rest of them is working. Add product, remove items, update and delete. Perfect. Just delete invoice, the rest of things. Okay, let's do that one, and we can finish invoice controllers. Then we can have a look at our refactoring and exceptions, and we're going to finalize the project, hopefully. Okay, let's put another HTTP GET. HTTP GET public without. Let's continue with our task. Just say remove invoice. Probably we needed ID. Okay, await invoice service, remove invoice async, and another thing I need to add this. I just remember we need to remove the cache data from our cache. Okay, let's continue. Invoice service, remove invoice async, and return value is going to be, so we need a client ID, right? So we need also an integer client ID. This is going to be invoice, perfect. Client ID is going to be client ID. Alright. Let's wrap these action resolve with a task, which is for asynchron method. Okay, let's go to all invoice list. This is the remove invoice. The name is remove invoice, perfect. Remove invoice is put ID. ID, so we need to send the client ID as well. Okay, let's copy this root and create another one. Model dot, don't we have any client ID here? Item dot, yeah, we have a client ID here. Okay, we send the client ID as well for client ID section. Yep, let's run the application. Okay, I'm just, okay, sorry, just mistype. Invoice list, let's delete it. We have a problem. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, where are we in? Get all invoices. Okay, so if you don't have any invoices, we shouldn't go back to get all invoices. We need to check that, because we have in our logic, if you don't have any invoices, we just go back to client list. Okay, let's stop the application. Let's go to invoice controller. Okay, remove ID section, perfect. So I'm gonna var invoices, invoice service, get all invoices by company, use client ID. If invoices count equal 0, just return, where is the, okay, we need to client, control F, client, what was the name of it? Get all clients. Yeah, this is the one I need. It is located in delete draft invoice, and this is the remove invoice. So we're going to use same return value if the invoices count 0. Let's run the application one more time. Okay, as you can see, if we don't have an invoice, we couldn't enter the invoice list. Let's go to invoice list. Let's delete it. As you can see, this is how it's going to be. Okay, now I'm going to create a quick to invoice. Alright, this is the problem. Let's go back. What happened? What happened to here? Okay, just a second. Let's delete it. Let's create a new invoice. Why I have this? Let's delete it. Okay, let's try to create one more time. Add product. Create it. Create new invoice. Okay, that's the problem. when we finalize the invoice, we still have the invoice. Okay, actually I need to change a logic. We are using client ID, if you remember, for create invoice section. Okay, let's have a look at our cache. Okay, can I use invoice ID instead of client ID? Okay, I'm gonna send integer invoice ID, and I'm going to use this invoice ID. But the problem is you're creating a new invoice, so we don't have an invoice ID. Okay, I changed my mind. Alright, I'm just thinking. So if I create a new invoice, okay, once I create it, I just basically remove the memory cache. Let's have a look. So if we send invoice to API, so if it's done, okay, we need to delete it. Memory cache, remove cache key. Perfect. I'm gonna do same thing for the update as well. Once we update is completed, where is my, yeah, I'm gonna delete from my cache memory. Perfect. Now we don't have any problem. Now we don't have a problem. Okay, let's create a new invoice. Glue. Let's add product. Perfect. Let's create it. Let's create it. Let's create new invoice. We have an empty one. Perfect. If I delete a invoice, so if we have more than 0 invoice, we're going to return this page again. Here we go. When I delete again, we're going to return the client list. Here we go. It's working smoothly. Perfect, guys. Let's save everything. Close all tabs. Minimize everything. Now I'm going to finish this lesson here. Next lesson, we will focus on refactor, because we implement all the data in our controller, which is, I really don't like to do that. I'm going to have a look. If I able to put them all in our services, it will be more best practice. I think we will go through on it together, and then I'm going to implement exceptions and have a look any problem do we have in the process. Then we will going to implement our authentication authorizations to our consumer project. Probably after all, we're going to make a big test and we complete our this playlist. Alright guys, take care of yourselves. See you on next lesson. Bye bye.